This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you're looking for a sports book this football season, be sure to visit America's #1 sports book, FanDuel, today.
What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, we wanted to talk about who deserves to be the quarterback one for the Indianapolis Colts right now, because we heard this joint practice was going to, it was basically going to be a really big deal for this quarterback competition, as Shane Steichen pointed out to everybody. And that joint practice with Green Bay is now officially over. And, you know, both quarterbacks had their ups, also had their downs. But I feel a certain way about it. We'll see how Cody feels. But Cody, as it currently sits right now, because we kind of talked about it a lot over the last few weeks, who at this current moment do you believe should be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts come week one?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been holding to this recently, and this is just my opinion on it. It seems like it's fairly close still from what we've been hearing. You know, both quarterbacks having good times. It's both quarterbacks having their struggles, as we expected. But I guess I'm to the point, Derek, where I say I think you have to go with Anthony Richardson at this point and live or die with him, right? I think that's what you have to do right now if you're the Indianapolis Colts, because, you know, we know this kid, yeah, he has his flaws. Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing some of those, you know, training camp. We saw those last year. Heck, we saw it in the first preseason game. But I just think right now, if you're looking for the ceiling raiser, it's going to be Anthony Richardson. But also there is the very strong case, Derek, that also there's the floor that he could get to, and it's probably a little bit lower than Daniel Jones. And we kind of knew this going into this year. And so that's kind of just where I'm at right now, is like, hey, look, you have this young quarterback. He's shown signs of improvement. Now, will it be enough? That's still to be determined. But right now, it seems like it's fairly close. And I know, Derek, you even said, and I'm sure you'll talk about this, if it's close, you start Anthony Richardson, right? Unless Daniel Jones is just blowing it away, which it doesn't seem like that is the case at all. Daniel Jones, he's had some moments too, don't get me wrong, but he's also had some of those bonehead interceptions. He's had some things as well. So both of these quarterbacks have their good things they offer you, and both quarterbacks have definitely some drawbacks as well. And, you know, and we've talked about it before. There's a reason why a lot of people aren't very high on this Colts quarterback room right now, because there's a lot of concerns with both guys with their games and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, but I think if you're asking me right now, since it's been so close, I think Anthony Richardson has a better chance to get you where you need to be as a team than Daniel Jones is at this point. Now, Daniel Jones is probably a little bit steadier, but I don't think it's like to the degree where it's like, oh my gosh, like Anthony Richardson is so erratic and Daniel Jones is so steady. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's fairly close, but I think AR just gives you something different from a big play ability that, frankly, Daniel Jones doesn't. And, you know, I even been on record in saying whoever gives you the best chance to win, and I think just from the, you know, big playability, that does give you the best chance to win. Now, if Anthony Richardson can be a little bit more reliable this year when it comes to the short to intermediate game, and obviously some of the other things like, hey, identifying a free rusher off your right side, like those sorts of things, if some of that stuff can potentially come together as the season progresses on, then I think he gives you the best chance. But if you want with the safe option, that's Daniel Jones. And I think right now, if you're Steichen, if you're Ballard, if you're basically this entire coaching staff, you probably want to bet on the ceiling rather than just a quarterback that can keep you steady at this point. And worst case scenario, Derek, Anthony Richardson gets hurt, doesn't work, he's terrible, he doesn't complete 50% of his passes, you go to Daniel Jones anyway, you know? So that's kind of where I sit right now in regards to the quarterback position, because I don't think either guy has necessarily clearly separated himself from the other.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation that we have here. And I think going off of the joint practice, both quarterbacks had their good moments. Some had their bad moments. But the one thing that was different was that Anthony Richardson, in the biggest of moments in those practices, showed up in the clutch moments, and Daniel Jones didn't. And I think that's where a lot of this comes down to it is, again, you're going to have sporadic moments from Anthony Richardson. You're going to have those boneheaded plays, but you're going to have those moments where in the biggest of moments, he shows up and he balls out. You know, we've seen it throughout his young career, and regardless of whether or not he's does it the rest of the time, he has shown up in some big clutch moments. And Cody, I'll bring up a stat for you that I saw from Stephen Holder today. He said that last season, Daniel Jones completed 90 more passes than Anthony Richardson did in his season last year with the Giants. But he only got 256 more yards than Anthony Richardson did in that time frame. So if you average that out, that's less than 3 yards per catch on those catches there. So again, it goes to show you just kind of where those completions are coming from, I guess, in a say. Like, yeah, no doubt Daniel Jones completes more passes than Anthony Richardson, no doubt. But if you're just completing more passes, but those passing yards aren't going anywhere, then what's the point, right? If you're just being checked down Harry, then it's not a
I think the correct version is check down Charlie, just for our
whatever.
listeners.
Yeah, whatever.
Check down Harry. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, what are you hoping to accomplish if all you're doing is just going to get those guys to just complete more passes, but those yards don't go anywhere, right? So
Sure.
That's what you're getting when it comes to the Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones argument is who's going to drive the offense more. And from all accounts, we have seen that Anthony Richardson has looked better in this camp than he had in his previous 2 camps by every person. Like, there's not a single person out there that can't sit here and say that Anthony Richardson looks better this year than what he has in the previous years. Now, how will that translate to the regular season? We don't know. But we won't know if he doesn't play. And ultimately, I would rather take the guy that is going to give you more of those explosive plays and is a more explosive athlete and can move the ball in different ways rather than just having Daniel Jones check it down to Jonathan Taylor or DJ Giddens every play. Like, I would prefer not to have to do that because that's just boring. And it helps that you have a quarterback in Anthony Richardson that can throw the football down the field. It takes the top off of a defense. It makes it easier for running backs like Jonathan Taylor, like Tyler Goodson, like DJ Giddens, when a defense has to accept the ability that the quarterback can throw the football deep. You have to be aware of that. And if Daniel Jones can't throw the football deep, you're going to make it difficult for yourselves again. You're going to make it look like 2022, 2023 all over again, where it was a little bit harder at times for the running backs to get going late in the season because nobody cared about the Colts' ability to throw the football down the field.
Hey, what's up, Colts Nation? I want to take just a second here, pause on the content just for 1 second, and give a shout out to our partnership here with FanDuel. So, as you guys know, regular season is just around the corner here. In the blink of an eye, guys, it's really going to be here, which is just crazy. So, we're still in preseason at the current time, but we're getting there. Every single day, we are 1 second, 1 minute, and 1 day closer to kickoff. So, with that being said, guys, just want to talk about our partnership here with FanDuel. And, you know, a lot of people not really super high on the Indianapolis Colts. You don't have to go super far to see where people are ranking the Colts right now. And if you use a sports book, I would definitely recommend FanDuel. There's a lot of different things that you can be looking at with FanDuel. And, you know, if you're a diehard Indianapolis Colts fan and you are hoping the best, you can bet on anything. You can bet on preseason if you want to do that. You can bet on the Colts if you are that diehard and you want to do that, to bet on the Colts versus Packers week 2. Definitely do that. Also, there's some things as we get into the regular season. You got Super Bowl odds for not just the Colts, but for all these different teams. Right now, just kind of looking at it, Colts are at plus 6,500. So obviously, there are a lot of teams that a lot of other people are thinking are going to go to the Super Bowl ahead of the Colts. So if you're like, hey, you know what? It's a pretty long shot here, but I definitely want to just do it because you never know what's going to happen. But there's an option there if you're thinking Colts Super Bowl or bust here. There's also other different options as well. If you want to maybe set your expectations a little bit lower, hey, let's look at regular season wins for the Colts right now on FanDuel. That's negative 110. If you want to go 6+ regular season wins, if you're like, I don't know if I want to go 8, I want to go 6, you can do that as well. It's a little bit negative 320. Or if you're like, hey, you know what? This is a really do or die season for the Colts. And I think if they can figure out their quarterback situation, I think they can make the playoffs. That's potentially a really, really good option there as it sits right now at plus 172. You think the Colts can, maybe sneak into the playoffs this year, that might not be a bad option for you at all. That's just kind of, guys, a snippet of all the different odds that you can be, placing your bets on and things like that here with FanDuel. And like I said, if you want to bet on preseason, you are more than welcome to do that as well. Some people do it. Some people are like, it's just preseason, but if you want to do it, go for it. Kind of get into the mindset here before, the regular season does kick off. So if you guys are wanting to do that, or if you're like, no, the Colts aren't going to make the playoffs, the Colts aren't going to do these things, whatever side of the pendulum you swing here for the Indianapolis Colts 2025 season, if you think they're going to win 6-8 games, you think they're going to make the playoffs, you think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, you can do all that here ahead of the regular season here. Again, guys, we're still in the middle of August, middle to end of August here. So we've still got a few weeks until the Colts do kick off against the Miami Dolphins at home in week 1. So you can make all those betting odds here that you want to, from Colts are going to be terrible this year to the Colts are going to make the Super Bowl. Like, you can do pretty much anything and everything there when thinking about the regular season for the Indianapolis Colts. And also there's more things with individual players as well. And we'll kind of get into that later on as we get into it. But just wanted to take a second here and give a shout out to FanDuel once again here for being our partner here throughout the course of the 2025 season. So be sure to check out FanDuel, guys, and check them out. Shout out again to FanDuel. Really do appreciate it. All right, let's get back to the content. Sure. It's so funny. It's kind of almost like cruelly ironic because it's like, both of these quarterbacks, it's like they have the opposite problem, right? Like, Daniel Jones's problem is the down the field, the big pass, taking the top off the defense. Anthony Richardson has been more of the layups. It's been the short passes, the intermediate passes. That's been more of his issue, right? So, I kind of view every player kind of like this, like kind of, you probably heard this term before, like kind of like a mold of clay, right? Like, every single player has talent, right? When they first come into the league, when they first start playing ball, like, they have this talent. And the job of the coaches and the job of, all those people is to help develop that talent and to mold that talent into where you want it to be, right? So the way that I kind of view it is we kind of know the mold of Daniel Jones a little bit more than we know Anthony Richardson, right? We do. I mean, Daniel Jones has been in the league. He, for a while now. What was that, like 2019? So he's been in the league for 6-7 years now, right? Anthony Richardson's only been in the league for now 3 years. We've talked about it before. Like, when you throw in the, the college and all that stuff, he's played maybe just a slight more than some of the rookies coming out this year. Some of those guys who played multiple years in college, right? He's only 23. So it does feel like, his ability to be molded is he's still a little bit more moldable than a Daniel Jones, right? Because we know what we're getting with Daniel Jones up to this point. Yeah, you have the Baker Mayfields of the world. You have the Sam Darnolds of the world, but I feel like those are more of the exception to the rule than the rule itself in a lot of ways. And so not every quarterback that failed, in their original spot's going to become a Baker Mayfield. That's just not a reality. And even then, Baker Mayfield, when he started out in Cleveland, I mean, he threw the rookie passing record in touchdowns his rookie season. So, the ability was there for Baker, right? So all that to say, that's kind of how it is. Like, Daniel Jones, yeah, his floor is probably a little higher, but he doesn't have the ability to do the things that Anthony Richardson does. Like you said, like that was the big problem I had with that 2023 Colts offense was we knew that they were rarely, if ever, going to really truly like strike fear into the hearts of defensive coordinators, right? Because we know we've talked about it with Alec Pierce, right? It only takes one play to change the trajectory of a game. And Anthony Richardson gives you that. Now, Daniel Jones, he gives you the steadiness for sure. But if Anthony Richardson can even be, even if he's not better, if he can be within striking distance of Daniel Jones in that way, I think that is huge for you. I mean, it was so bad a year ago, and again, like the fact that he's looking better is great, but look at the bar; it was set pretty low last year, right? So if he could even be, decent in that department, you'll live with that, and because you know that at any point in time he can do what he did against Houston. Any point in time he can get you back into these games with those big passes, right? But can he do some of the other things that, it takes to be a franchise quarterback? Those things remain to be seen, right? So, I mean, really, right now, when you look at this, it's probably, honestly, Derek, one of the worst quarterback situations currently, right, in the NFL because both quarterbacks were bad last year. Let's just call a spade
Oh
a
yeah,
spade. They were
terrible.
bad last year. We know they were terrible. We're not going to go stand on a table for either of these quarterbacks right now. And last year, there's no excuses for that. You can excuse it all day long. They were both terrible. I mean, but in regards to this battle, I think if you're looking purely from these two players who are battling for it, I think you have to go with the young kid who's a little bit more moldable. Yeah, he certainly has the potential to bottom out a lot quicker than Daniel Jones, but he also has the ability, Derek, to really change the trajectory of a game in a couple snaps. He really does. Whereas Daniel Jones, you just don't get that as much. So for me, I'm always going to be a high ceiling guy. Like I'll always choose that over the safe option. And even if Daniel Jones is a safe option, doesn't mean he's a good option either. So that's kind of where I sit, Derek. It's like it's not an ideal situation either way, but that's just kind of where you are right now. And if I'm Chris Ballard, if I'm Shane Steichen, I'm taking the chance on the kid that I obviously felt was worth a top 5 pick a couple of years ago. Yeah, he probably didn't turn out the way I hoped so far, but I at least want to give him one more chance. If I go down, I go down swinging. I go down with my guy. That's kind of where I'm at when it comes to this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have to just put the guy out there that's going to give you the option, the best option to win. And I mean, you can say whatever you want, but like neither one of these quarterbacks really extends and gives you the better option to win. They are both kind of in the same process of it where one quarterback has no pocket awareness. People will argue Anthony Richardson doesn't either because, obviously look at what happened last week, but that's not pocket awareness. That was just play awareness. But when we're talking about just a guy that doesn't have pocket awareness, can't throw the football down the field, sure, completes 63% of his passes, but each pass on average goes only 4 yards down the field, then it doesn't matter. And then another quarterback who, for 2 quarters of the game might be non-existent. And then for the other 2 quarters might throw some passes that you're like, holy cow, what was that? So like it's just which do you prefer at this point? And ultimately, if you're going to go with one guy or the other, you go with the guy that you drafted to try to get this franchise moving in the right direction. And you know what? In all honesty, too, Cody, like I know that the Colts say this isn't a make or break year for Anthony Richardson, but at some point it will be. And if Anthony Richardson doesn't get the reps necessary to start showing that he is making the improvement to be the franchise quarterback of this team going forward, then you're just wasting this for no reason, right? So, I mean, ultimately, we've said it so many times. If these quarterbacks are even close, you're giving the nod to Anthony Richardson because if Daniel Jones is not standing out here and showing you that he has what it takes to lead this team to the playoffs, and Anthony Richardson's just dropping everything, then there's nothing to really discuss here. Anthony Richardson should be the quarterback week one because, again, in the joint practice, while albeit both quarterbacks didn't have a great day, he had better moments and more clutch moments. And again, the potential of Anthony Richardson just gives you the better option going forward into those games. And like you said, what most AR critics say is that, he's going to get injured by midway through week one anyway and never play the rest of his life. Then you have Daniel Jones to be there anyway. So what's the big deal if he's not playing, only to find out he will play at some point because he gets injured? Ultimately, Anthony Richardson should be the quarterback week one because the potential is there and he's shown in camp he's gotten better. Let's give him the opportunity to try it out.
Yeah, again, like I said, if you're Ballard and you're Steichen, not saying it's going to happen because anything can happen. We don't know. I mean, through 2 years, you'd say it's not going to happen. That's what critics would say. That's where a lot of people are at. But Derek, if you want the best chance of saving your job, it falls on Anthony Richardson. Like it falls, or it works or it doesn't. Like your whole job, I think, it really hinges on if Anthony Richardson turns out to be what you think he can be or not this year. And if not, if he gets injured, you're probably in for another, 8 to 9 wins. Even if he stays healthy and he's just bad, like you might be in for that as well. But at least the answer, right? Like, and I'd at least rather do that than, go throughout my life wondering if he ever was going to work out. I think that's where you're at if you're Steichen and Ballard. Is like this kid has the chance, however slim you feel like it is, he gives you the best chance to potentially keep your job next year. And if it doesn't work, you're fired. The Colts are starting over. Like you're doing a hard reset next year, and you're not going to be a part of it. So you at least give yourself a fighting chance. And with Daniel Jones, it's just kind of like a meh option right now. It just is. That's what it's going to be with him. Yeah, he'll keep you maybe a little steady at times. Like you said, it's not probably going to be this, down the field passing a lot. It's going to be a lot of dink and dunk, but Anthony Richardson has the higher ceiling, gives you the better chance, but also there's the reality, Derek, where also he could get you fired too. That's just kind of what you took on when you drafted this kid as early as you did, knowing how raw he was.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, this is it for this one, guys. Let us know your thoughts on this. We will probably hear news on who is going to be the starting quarterback probably sometime next week. We might hear it after the game on Saturday. Who knows? All we know is that obviously one of the biggest tests so far for who's going to be starting quarterback come week one just happened today. And from when this goes out, probably yesterday. So we will keep you guys updated on it. But who do you think should be quarterback one for week one? But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.